Hello, everybody. It is Wednesday evening, and you know what that means? It means it is time for the Sunday Night League, and we are here at Mount Panorama, Bathurst, Australia, for a very exciting season finale. Apologies for the popping noise you will have just heard. Yes, but we are here, and hopefully no technical difficulties this time. Let's find out. Let's just go here. I'll make sure I can be heard. Technical difficulties this time. Let's find out. It appears I can be heard, which is, of course, good news. So if you will bear with me for just a couple seconds. There we go. We should be ready to go. All the drivers have been notified. Everyone in the Discord server has been notified that the stream is up. Apologies for knocking the camera around for a second there. Yeah, so we are here for Mount Panorama, and I am very excited for this particular stream, and you will find out why in just a moment. But in the meantime, I would like to show you guys something very cool. This has been a stream I put a lot of work into, and hopefully it will turn out very well. But first off, let's take a look at this. There you go. It's a full screen graphic. I'm very, overly excited by the fact that I can do that now. But that is your standings, and if I just double check something. Yeah, it should be okay. That is our standings going into round 5. So you can see our standings here as I'm just going to pull up the stream on my phone as I walk you through them very quickly. So first and foremost, we have Bunnies in the lead of the championship, number 99 in P1 on 98 points, followed by his Red Bull teammate, Alexis Maximus, in second. Alexis running a very solid championship run so far. The Red Bulls doing quite well for themselves, followed by Cthulhu in third. Alexis' Spanish compatriot, Cthulhu, is in third in the championship, 86 points, 1 point behind Alexis on 87 points. And something kind of entertaining I've only just noticed, Bunnies 9999, number 99, of course, and Alexis Maximus 98. So just some high up numbers there. Moving on, though, we have Matt Psycho in 4th place, number 16 on 69 points. A win in Brazil in round 1, missing round 2 because of his birthday. And round 3, it was 2nd place, and round 4 didn't quite go to plan. I believe 6th place was the result for Matt. Gasman is in 5th for Ferrari on 57 points, followed by Ntulu, who of course drove the first round for Renault as a reserve, but then stepped up to full-time with Brabham, followed by the Benetton duo of Jam and Speckmere in 7th and 8th on 48 and 40 points respectively, followed by Slenderfella in 9th, 10th is Aloe, 11th Rob on drums, 12th is our first reserve, Daz, who of course raced in Daytona, pulling himself up to a 4th place result, a good result for the reserve. He is, of course, not racing today, unfortunately, but he is reserve, so that will be 18 points for him. He'll be the highest reserve in the championship come the end of the season, followed by Digital Blasphemy in 13th. Digital is on 17 points. It's then Bailey for McLaren, Jim Joker for Lotus, Punisher for Williams, Armand Killebrew for Renault, and Bad Payoso, another reserve, for 7th. You can see any results that are in orange. Those are for whoever got pole position, and any results that are in purple are for those who got fastest lap of the race. Although I'm noticing that the pole position has not been used in the final or the two most recent rounds, those would have gone to Alexis for round 3, so it's possible that for him it's just the purple going over the orange instead. Although it was, of course, Jam on pole last time out. However, if I now switch us over to this, we have the Teams Championship as well. It's Red Bull, who are your champions after the race in Monza. 185 points for them. Red Bull leads the championship now, followed by Renault, 112, Benetton, 108, Brabham, 107, 91 for Ferrari, 70 for McLaren, Lotus is on 37, and Williams is on 27, but there is still very much a fight for the top two, or for second place in the Constructors' Championship between Renault, Benetton, and Brabham. All, of course, separated by just 5 points. And I'll pull us back up to the Drivers' Championship for just a second, because I want to let you know there are 4 drivers mathematically in the shot for the title today. It is Bunnies, Alexis Cthulhu, and Matt Psycho. Matt will have a lot of difficulty taking the championship today, although Cthulhu and Alexis, both of them, won't be easy given the 11-point lead that Bunnies has, but it will not be impossible for the 2 Spaniards. The 4 of them all fighting for the championship, and Bunnies, of course, also going for the championship, already in first in the championship. Matt, a multiple-time SNL champion, a one-time Formula X champion back in Season 3. Cthulhu, I believe, was the Season 2 champion. That was admittedly just before I joined SNL. I joined back in Season 3 of Formula X, but I believe he was the Season 2 champion. Apologies if I am making a mistake on that. Alexis will be going for his first Formula X championship, I believe, possibly his first SNL championship, and Bunnies as well will be going for his first championship in SNL as well. Now, why don't I just switch us back to our drivers, and for the first time ever, before we get going with that, I would like to run us through the grid. I'm not certain my voice will be able to be heard during this video, but hopefully it is. But here, for the first time, get ready, because we are going to have the official grid. We go back to the drivers. I kind of get the sense I wasn't able to be heard during that. I will go back on my phone, check the stream just to be sure. No, I apologize for the silence there. That is greatly unfortunate. However, we are ready to race. If you give me just 2 seconds, as there was a knock on my door, I will promise I'll only be about 2 seconds. Apologies. I'll come by as soon as I'm done. Okay, bye. Apologies, that was just a couple friends. I was just concerned it may have been a roommate locked out of the room. It was just a couple friends. I am back, though, and I am ready for the race. I apologize for the lack of sound during the grid rundown, but glad to have had that. We will have that solved for the next time. For the time being, though, why don't we get on with the race? So I am just going to... Sorry, this is all a little bit confusing. I'm just going to check something real quick. Excellent. Seems fine. Cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do that. Ta-da. You can't see what I'm doing? That's good. That's okay. Good, whatever. Anyways, now let's get on with the race. It is, of course, as you will have seen in the grid rundown. Go back and check that out if you haven't seen it already. As you saw in the grid rundown, not a good qualifying result for Bunnies, the championship leader. Not brilliant for Cthulhu either, but Matt and Alexis, apologies, putting in very good results in qualifying. Speckmere on pole with Intulu in second. I hope you are ready for this, because this is the championship finale. Let's get ready. Ooh, hold on. I was not ready there. There we go. Let's get ready. 5 red lights. It is lights out and away we go. We are racing here in Mount Panorama. It is a good start for Speckmere using the overtake. Intulu, trying to go around the outside as there's contact. Alexis is off. Jam is off. That's not good for either of them. Alexis fighting for the championship. Down in 14th all of a sudden. That is not at all what he will have wanted. I wonder if Aloe might have hit them, because Aloe waiting up there for the two of them. Alexis getting going, Jam getting going, but let's jump back up to the front. It is Speckmere still leading ahead of Intulu. Gasman is under pressure from Matt Psycho. Matt, will he be able to make a move? Going up the hill for the first time. A lot of lag there from Gasman. That is unfortunate to see. Ooh, is that Slender fella in the wall? Cthulhu's going to shove himself through. Is Bunny's going to have an opportunity here as well? Bunny's all the way up to 7th. A good start for him despite his poor qualifying. He is on the mediums. His tires this round are medium hard. All things considered, he's in a good position, though, because Cthulhu and Alexis are both hard, so they will be stuck on hards all race long, while Bunny's starting on the mediums. Matt, of course, on very good tires himself. Soft, medium, I believe, are his tires, as it looks like somebody might have just clipped the wall there, as you could see some sparks going by. Up to the front, though, it is a good lead for Speckmere, but it might not be good enough come the end of this straight, because Intulu is in the slipstream. Intulu is going to look to the inside of the corner. No, Speckmere defends the inside. Intulu, is going to have to look at the outside. He's going to go for a switchback. He can't through the chicane. He's going to have to sit behind. It's going to be Speckmere who's going to lead us to the end of the first lap from the looks of things. Intulu not thinking about any silly dives. He's just playing the long game. Brabham, of course, fighting with Benetton for second place in the Constructors' Championship. Renault not looking great at the moment in that regard. Renault only having one driver, although in fairness, Cthulhu is up in 4th position. That's very good for him. Matt Psycho in 5th. He'll be looking to gain some positions. Matt Psycho won the first round, got a podium in the second round, got 6th in the 4th round. Apologies, not in the second round did he get second. Oh, as he goes round the outside of Cthulhu, it almost looked like Cthulhu tried to defend and ended up just sort of moving out of his way, as Bunny's sticking on the back of this group. So Bunny's championship contender, championship leader even, is looking solid as it is, as Slenderfella making another mistake. Bunny's getting through on the run up the hill, and I will just go back on some point next lap. I will go and I will watch on board with the driver going up the hill, and hopefully down as well, because it is truly a sight to behold. These cars flying along on this circuit. It is an unbelievable circuit, as I wonder if Bunnies has made a slight mistake. He seems to have dropped back slightly more from the back of Cthulhu, although that may just be the gap that Slenderfella was in earlier. Intulu still on the back of Speckmere, not letting him get too far away, but certainly not able to put a ton of pressure on him at this moment in time. It's going to be Matt Psycho, though, who's going to go down the inside of the kink. He's going to have the outside line for the chicane, but he's far ahead of Gasman by the time they reach the braking zone. Gasman tapping the rear end of the Benetton, of the Brabham, apologies, as the Ferrari now, he's going to have to try and defend from Cthulhu's charging Renault. Renault on the outside, Ferrari on the inside. No move being made yet, but Cthulhu will be looking desperate. Oh, that's Bunnies around in the background. Bunnies, our championship leader, he spins on a curb at the end of lap 2. That is not what he will have wanted. He did this continuously last season, spinning out on the early sections, sending himself to the back of the grid. He won most of those races that he did that, but he will be hard-pressed to do that again on this occasion. He's down to 9th. It's not what he will have wanted. Punisher in his slipstream now, the Canadian, chasing down the other Canadian, Punisher behind Bunnies. The Punisher in the Williams, not able to do anything yet, as the only Williams on the grid today, unfortunately, is Digi. Not able to show up, it seems. So Bunnies in ninth, though. That is not what he will have wanted. Let's just go further up. Let's watch Matt Psycho going down the hill here. Matt managing these corners nicely. He's one of the most talented drivers on the grid, winning many championships in SNL. Has the most race wins across SNL. I believe with if you're interested in the complete stat, I believe Matt has the most wins. Wolfbane, who of course is not racing this season, but Wolfbane, I believe, has the most second places, and Bunnies, I believe, has the most third places in SNL. Those are your most... I don't know how many times those three have shared the podium, actually, but those three are the top three positions often taken by those three. Let's look around a little bit more, though. Bailey, that's Bunny's off track again. Let's go back and see this. Just how bad did he mess it up? He's in the slipstream of Rob on drums. I wonder if he's going to just miscalculate the braking zone. Because of that, he's through even before the kink. He hits the brakes, and what's going to happen here? Oh, he just misses the apex, scrambles across the curb. Is that going to give Rob on drums a chance around the outside? It's not quite. It looks like Bunnies is going to just defend this a little bit. So Bunny's running a little bit wide, missing the apex there even. Just on the end of lap 3 we are. And further back, something's happened to Jam. I believe he... Oh, that's Specmare, apologies. I believe he might have pitted or he's spun. I'm uncertain on that account. But it is not what Alexis will have wanted from today. Alexis not in a good position. Alexis will not take the championship as it stands. As it stands, I believe the championship would go to Bunnies. Cthulhu in 5th, Bunnies in 8th. So I believe the live championship on lap 4 would involve Bunnies taking the championship, but I'm not sure. I'm not dead certain of that, but I believe that would be the case. Matt Psycho ahead of Gasman. Gasman's still putting a lot of pressure on Matt Psycho, though. Gasman with the Scottish-looking helmet. Looks like a Scottish flag on top. Not entirely certain if that's the intention. But nonetheless, Gasman in the Ferrari, as we often see him, either team principal or driver for Ferrari, so often, as just chasing Matt down the long straight. Now you can see Specmare up ahead. It's Ntulu, then Matt, then Gasman, then it's Cthulhu, Slenderfella, Bailey, Bunnies, Rob on drums, Punisher, Loey, Alexis in 12th, apologies, Jim Joker in 13th, bit of alliteration there, and 14th is Jam. Jim Joker, then Jam. That's entertaining in terms of words. Jim Joker, Jam. Anyways. As that's a big moment for Slenderfella, nearly spinning round out of turn 1. Slenderfella really struggling with the traction today on those soft compound tires. And let's see if there's anybody visibly fuel saving. Let's look through the grid quickly. Let's see. Specmare, no. Ntulu has a little bit more fuel. Matt Psycho has even more, but it's not a substantial amount more than, say, Gasman. Cthulhu has a bit more than Gasman. Slenderfella's at about the same. Bailey's running a little bit low on fuel. Bunny's doing all right himself. Rob on drums with a little bit more. I wonder if Rob on drums might be saving just a lap or 2 extra. Punisher doing fine on fuel himself. Aloe, Alexis, Jam, and Jim Joker. Nobody clearly saving fuel, but Specmare coming out of the hill. A little bit of a snap of oversteer there. I'm not sure if he will have just gotten on the throttle a little bit hard, or if that's indicative of how his tires are feeling. But I am going to just... Let's take a look further back at our championship contenders at the moment. Cthulhu in 5th, just as he was before. He's improving on his fastest lap time. At the moment, that's 43.878. Let's compare that to Bunny's 45.4. So not the lap time Bunny's will have wanted. He is right behind Bailey now. hopefully not feeling too trapped. The Red Bull will be hoping to get past the McLaren. That Red Bull camo livery has served Bunnies and Alexis well so far this season. Alexis winless, but with, I believe, 3 podiums, and Bunnies with 3 podiums, including 2 wins himself as well. So quite a good season so far for the Red Bulls. Of course, also Constructors champions. It is Bunnies, though, in 8th. He's still behind Bailey, and why don't we stick with him for just a minute, and we'll watch him going up the hill, see if he can catch up and pressure Bailey at all. And I'm just going to also let you listen to the sound of the engines. So that is a ride up and down the hill with Bunnies. Very entertaining to watch how the cars managed there, at one point getting a tiny little snap of oversteer, but lightning fast reactions keeping him in the game. Bunnies managing decently well behind Bailey, though I'm sure he'd like to get past the Brit. The McLaren driver with the Jensen Button helmet still, I believe. Is that still the Jensen Button helmeted? It is. Nice. So I have to say I'm a big fan of that helmet. Jensen Button, very entertaining guy. Always liked his helmet. As a Canadian, I do find the use of the British flag quite well done. It can be difficult to put the Canadian flag onto helmets, which is why I say that, although I don't know if he still has it, but Punisher at one point at least had a Canadian-ish flag on himself, but that kind of looks like a Mansell helmet, if I'm not mistaken, actually. So some interesting helmets on the grid, of course, but back down to Alexis in 12th. It is not what this Red Bull driver will be wanting. A 43.8 is his fastest lap time. He's right on the back of Aloe, but he's stuck on the hards, and he is just not going to be enjoying today all that much. But it's Bunny's right on the back of Bailey now. Is he going to make a move just at the crest of the hill? He's not, but some wonderful angles there as the two drivers crest the hill, the McLaren and the Red Bull, taking that series of corners quite nicely, and I would imagine Bunnies will be pushing Bailey down the straight on this occasion. Presumably not literally, as I would imagine he'd like to get through, but almost certainly figuratively he will be doing so. As we see here, he's in the slipstream. Is he using any overtake? He's got about a quarter used, but that's still a little bit less than Bailey has used. He's going to have the outside line into the braking. Bailey looks like he brakes later, but can he hold it? Bunnies, just with the bravery around the outside, manages to make the move. A nice move for the Red Bull driver. The McLaren's going to look down the inside of the final corner, but Bailey not able to find anything on the Canadian, and the Canadian on the mediums is through in the Red Bull. That camo livery, as I said, looking very nice, but of course the entire grid looking exceptionally nice this season. The Benettons, the Brabhams, the Ferraris, the Renaults, that's another Ferrari, the Red Bulls, the McLarens, as Bailey's going to try round the outside of Bunnies. I'll go back to the liveries in a minute, but because it is Bailey on the outside, can he make the move? Bunnies is just going to try and stick it out on the inside. It looked like both of them severely compromising their lines to try and negotiate the corner side by side. That McLaren, a beautiful chrome shiny livery, the Vodafone livery, followed by the Camel Lotus, another wonderful livery. It's Williams in 10th with Punisher, the Canon Williams from the early 1990s. As somebody's gone round, it is Rob on drums. Let's go back and see what's happened to the American driver. What's going to happen here? Rob Oh, he just clips the wall. He touches the grass, gets a snap of oversteer, and he's into the wall again. Not what the Lotus driver will have been wanting, but excellent reactions to recover so quickly. It's going to be Punisher looking to make a move. He has to get off of the throttle. Couldn't quite switch himself to the inside soon enough. Rob just on the racing line. Punisher might not be thrilled with that, though I'm not sure how much either driver could do in that context. And further back, I believe we have gone through all of the liveries now. Let's go back up to the front, though, and let's take a look. And Tulu is not far off the back of Speckmere. Speckmere still under pressure from the Brabham. Let's see, about maybe a second and a half out in front at most, I would estimate. Let's see. You can see the Mild 7 sponsor on the rear wing. Jam giving me a little bit of a history lesson after I mentioned the Mild 7 sponsor on the rear wing of the Renault and the Benetton. The Renault team, of course, buying out Benetton in, was it 2001? Sometime around then. Not sure exactly the year, but I apologize for forgetting that. But at some point, the Benetton team being bought out by Renault, and but we have in a significant variety of liveries from different times. I mean, we have liveries as recent as the 2018 launch livery for Red Bull, and as far back as something in probably the 60s or 70s from Brabham. I admit to not knowing the exact year of the Brabham livery, but still a beautiful livery nonetheless, as you can see Matt Psycho and Ntulu managing nicely in those Brabhams. But I would take a guess that those are the oldest liveries on the grid, especially considering the Lotus, for example, and the Lotus being a mid-80s, mid to late 80s Lotus. I believe the Camel Lotus being sometime in the 80s. Not a good one, but a little history lesson there nonetheless. Apologies, just to clarify, I meant the history lesson was not a good one. The livery itself is a beautiful livery. I absolutely love that Camel Lotus livery. I would not generally expect myself to be a huge fan of yellow on the cars, but that is truly an excellent livery. Not a ton of battling going on at the moment, if you couldn't guess by the fact that I'm talking about liveries for the most part. But nonetheless, a lot of close racing, and it is important, even as I'm talking about these liveries, to keep an eye on the drivers, because, for example, Ntulu on the back of Speckmere, he's in the dirty air, going up and down the hill, and this is a very tricky circuit. We could very, very easily, at a moment's notice, see Ntulu spinning out, or Speckmere spinning out, or Matt spinning out. Any given driver may spin at any moment, so as much as I am talking about the liveries, as Slenderfella proves exactly my point. Oh, as Cthulhu gets by but hits the wall, he's got damage. That's not quite what Slenderfella will have wanted to do. It's not what Cthulhu will have wanted to happen. And Slenderfella, he'll have the straight line speed advantage, not having any damage, because unfortunately, that's just how this game works. You have a lot less speed if you have any kind of damage. And it is Slenderfella through on Cthulhu. Slenderfella back up into 5th after their contact. The Ferrari benefiting from something he did not mean to cause, I'm sure, but nonetheless, an awkward moment there for those drivers, as it's going to be Slenderfella into the pits. That is a bit surprising to me, I must admit. I did not expect to see anybody in quite that early, but I wonder he may be trying to split this race into 10 laps, 12 laps, or 10, 11, 12 laps. It is hard to say exactly what his strategy moves are, but Slenderfella, nonetheless, the indisputable fact is that he is in the pits. Bunny's doing a personal best of 143.7. He's been much faster since he got past Bailey. Bailey, very low on fuel, also into the pit lane. Rob on drums, you can see almost a quarter of his tank left, but Bailey on 5%. Even compared to the Punisher, it looks like Rob on drums is saving fuel a little bit, but even compared to the Punisher, Bailey on not very much fuel, so that is very interesting to see. And let's see Speckmere here. How's he going to manage these last few corners? This will probably be his last lap before a pit stop. Let's see, Intulu has a little bit more fuel, but I'm uncertain as to whether or not he'll be able to continue after this lap. Matt Psycho certainly will be able to continue after this lap, I believe, though. He looks like he has maybe a lap or two left of fuel, so we'll see how the Brit chooses to play this strategy game. Let's watch this top three for a minute. Excuse me. So the top two into the pits, Speckmere spinning across the grass almost, not spinning, but sort of skipping across it, apologies. And Tulu also into the pits. But as I predicted, it is Matt Psycho staying out for the time being. Gasman into the pits as well. Cthulhu stays out. What about Bunnies? Bunnies still needs to navigate this chicane before we find out. Hitting the curb quite nicely. He's managing well on those mediums. He's got a 43.7 as his fastest lap of the race at the moment, but it's not perfect. He'd surely like to be in a higher position, in 6th at the moment, and of course that is with other people in front of him already having pitted, Slenderfella, for example. Now, let's look further back. Rob on drums, I would expect to see staying out, as he does indeed. So does Alexis, though. It's a Lowy into the pits. Ooh, just going across the grass, into the gravel even. A Lowy going into the pits. He was on hards. It's going to be Jam into the pits, but Punisher staying out. Slenderfella, he's the interesting one to watch because he was quite near Cthulhu when he went into the pits. Let's see where he is now. Of course, Cthulhu out of the... Or has not pitted on this occasion, but Slenderfella through with the pits. It's Bunnies who is going to... He's the highest on fuel of the people on the pits, so he'll be the first out from here. How far behind Slenderfella will he be, though? It's hard to judge how far back he was before, in fairness, though. So I can't really say whether he's gained or lost time to Slenderfella. So for that reason, it looks like we'll just have to wait on Cthulhu getting into the pits. Cthulhu setting a personal best lap on the previous lap of 43.3. That is an exceptional lap for the Renault driver simply because he is stuck on those hard compound tires. Let's see what the Spaniard can do. What will he do strategy-wise? He has to pit on this lap. That's just a bit of a given, truthfully, if you look at his fuel gauge. But it is the Renault driver into the pits behind Matt Psycho. Will Matt replace his tires? He does. I would imagine he's going on to another set of softs, but we will have to take a look when he comes out of the pits because the graphic, while he's still in the pits, is not actually guaranteed to be accurate, unfortunately. It's Ntulu, who is in the lead currently, but he only has a bit over half a tank of fuel, so let's find Speckmere. Speckmere having refueled fully on the last lap. Matt Psycho still in the pits. It is Ntulu who's going to take the lead, but he will need to pit before anyone else. I would imagine this fuel should get him to the end of this stint, allowing for one full stint to get him to the end of the race from there. Let's see, Matt Psycho out into second. It's a Benetton 1-2. Where's Cthulhu, though? Where's Cthulhu, and where's Slenderfella? Slenderfella, the undercut has not worked. The overcut has been more powerful on this occasion, as Slenderfella is just a few seconds back from Cthulhu from the looks of things. So, the Canadian, Bunnies, is in 7th. As it stands, he will be champion. I'm very confident of that, as only 2 places ahead is Cthulhu. Cthulhu, of course, 12 points behind Bunnies. So Cthulhu will be hard-pressed to beat Bunnies at this current time. Cthulhu will need to gain a couple more positions at least. And Bunnies, of course, cannot afford to drop any more positions back, though. But, I tell you what, Alexis is closing in on the back of Rob on drums. So Rob on drums is going to be coming under pressure from the Red Bull driver pretty soon, I would think. You can see Rob on drums there on his mediums. He's got some quite worn mediums, but if you go on board with the Red Bull, you'll be occasionally able to just catch a glimpse of that Lotus. There he is, there he goes, there he is, there he goes. There he is again, and there he goes again. So you can just keep catching little glimpses of him. Of course, down the straight, you'll be able to see him the whole time. But interestingly, Matt Psycho. Not sure why I started to say Matt's name, but Rob on drums, not too far ahead of Alexis. We'll see if Alexis can overtake Rob and chase after his teammate. At the bare minimum, Alexis needs to make sure he beats Bunnies. He needs to beat him by a substantial enough margin to take the championship, but the first and most important thing he can do is get ahead of Bunnies. So the Canadian needs to try his best to keep his position, as Matt, coming up to a lapped car now, uncertain of who it is. I believe Jim Joker, indeed, yeah. So the Lotus driver, the Czech Lotus driver, a newcomer to the league, really putting his name in there, saying, hey, I'm here now, and I'm probably, I would imagine, here to stay. I think we all hope he does stay. The Czech driver just making a bit of a mistake there, though, and the Lotus driver, inexperienced as it stands, but that's all right. He will gain more experience as he goes, and many of the newcomers a little bit inexperienced, but that is nothing wrong with that. There was a time when even the man who was in the net lead of the championship in this finale, he was a newcomer as well. Bunny is, of course, running out of fuel in his first Formula X race, but you know, it's a mixed story for rookies. Sometimes they go on to just win their races, their first few races. Sometimes they can't seem to win anything for quite a while, but as long as you stick with it, you'll get better, and that's the beauty of newcomers in SNL. Slenderfellow, for example, running a very solid race right now in 6th. This is his first season in SNL, and he's running a fantastic season so far. He's been running very well. Comparatively, Bailey has had some very good performances. The Punisher and Jim Joker, maybe a tiny bit lacking in comparison, but not slow by any means. They've had their own strengths throughout the season. And Gasman, with the new fastest lap of the race, a 1:42.009. A very impressive lap time for the Ferrari driver. And he is chasing down Matt Psycho. How much did he gain on Matt on the last lap, I wonder? About 0.7 of a second. So Gasman will be pretty happy with that. Slenderfella behind Cthulhu. So Slenderfella, barring the significant time gap, the only thing that stands on track between two championship contenders, and Matt Psycho, I tell you what, he is doing exactly what he needs to at the moment. He's running a really solid race. Despite only qualifying 5th, he's already put himself up to 2nd. He appears to be catching Intulu. And, it'll be really interesting to see what Matt Psycho can do towards the end of this race. I'd say that he is the man to watch as he sets the fastest lap of the race. It's a 1:41.695. What a lap from the Brit. And Gasman, who had the previous fastest lap of the race, only able to hit a 1:42.162, so he's lost, big snap of oversteer for Speckmere there. As I was trying to say, Gasman has lost about half, oh my god, nearly knocked down everything on my desk, apologies for that. But as Gasman losing about half a second to Matt on the previous lap. So I'm just going to double check that my audio hasn't gotten messed up when I did that. No, it seems to be fine. That is excellent news. But yeah, so running some very solid races here are the Brabham drivers in 1st and 2nd. And let's look a little bit further back. Matt, of course, fighting for the championship mathematically, but he's not going to be able to get it unless Bunnies, I think, finishes last or DNFs or something, because 30 points would only put him 1 point ahead of Bunnies, I believe. So we'd need the win and fastest lap, and would then probably require a DNF from Bunnies at least. So Matt is not in a good position for the championship going into this round. But Cthulhu is doing what he can at the moment, given he's got those hards. As actually, I tell you what, you can see Speckmere right there. And Speckmere is 7/10 slower on the previous lap compared to Cthulhu. Cthulhu with some absolutely stunning pace today. That is my driver of the day so far, is Cthulhu on those hards. He is very much sticking his name in the cup, saying, hey guys, I want this championship. I'm going to do my best to take it. But of course, not an optimal situation to try and get it. Bunny's in only 7th. He is still in a good enough position to take the championship as it stands. But I tell you what, Alexis ahead of Rob on drums. I mentioned he was catching earlier, but now he is ahead. And no sound on stream, apparently. That's problematic. I've gotten that message 4 minutes ago. Hello. I appear to have sound, so not exactly sure what that's about, but appreciate the message nonetheless. Just bear with me for 2 seconds. Apologies for that. Just a little bit of a distraction there, trying to figure out the technical difficulties. I appear to be fine. Apologies if I've just been speaking into oblivion for the past, 40-odd minutes now. But we are on lap 18 of 32. We are over halfway through this race, so I certainly hope I'm not speaking into oblivion. Because this has been a very interesting race so far, and I'd be very interested to see how the rest of it goes. Matt with some absolutely exceptional pace at the moment, and Gasman doing his best to match it, but nothing he can quite do. He's been losing out to Matt on the past few laps. Still pushing very hard, though. Gasman, let's check his lap times in comparison to Intulu's. They seem to be better than Intulu, so the two drivers behind, both catching up to Intulu, and Intulu, look at that, he's got the reg, apologies, slip up, words are not working with me today. As you look at the fuel gauge of Intulu, and there is a bit of red there, so Intulu, ooh, what a save! What a save from the Portuguese Brabham driver. That was unbelievable. But he is quite low on fuel. He will need to refuel at some point in the near future. We'll see if he boxes on this lap, but he may push it out a lap further. Let's watch on board with Matt, who just barely misses the apex of the left-hander, as Intulu does pull into the pits. So we see Matt now taking the lead, and Intulu making it into the pits. It is a very, very sketchy pit entry, but he manages nicely nonetheless. Apparently no vehicle sounds on the stream. Give me 2 seconds to check that now, because that's a problem. You look at the fuel gauge of Intulu, and there is a bit of red there. That is bizarre. I am unsure of why that is happening. Does that... Hold on. Apologies. Uncertain as to why that is going on. I apologize for the technical difficulties trying to get it sorted out. We have had some pretty good viewership throughout this throughout this stream. Nonetheless, I will try to get this sorted out, but it is, of course, Matt in the lead. We just got a very nice view of him going up and down the mountain, and in Tulu, tell you what, we should take a look at him. He's not far behind Bunnies. He's right behind, that looks like Jim Joker, so we'll watch him trying to get through that quickly, and in the meantime, I will see what I can do about fixing the audio. Huh. Yeah, I see what you mean. I'm looking at the audio rates and I can see... Wonder if I can fix this quickly. Come on. As there is an issue there for Bunnies. Let's go back and look at that again. Apologies, that was not excellent timing for me to be sorting out the audio issues. I could not get it fixed, but let's see what happens here to our net championship leader. I'm not sure he still will be after this, as he double pirouettes into the wall, getting rear wing damage through the gravel, on the grass. Ooh, just has to let Jim Joker get through as well, so careful on that rejoin. He is pretty good with that, but it's going to be Alexis, his teammate. Is his teammate going to look down the inside? It's Alexis on the inside. Oh, he makes contact. Bunnies goes off the track. Was there contact there? It looked like it, but I'm uncertain. I want to take a better look at that. Alexis from behind, just knocking his teammate out of the way, his championship contender. I highly doubt that was intentional, but nonetheless, just not quite what they will have wanted. As I am still trying desperately to get this audio working. As just give me a second, let's see if this works. Doesn't appear to. Let's see if I just up the mic. This was working earlier. I know that for a fact. I had it working earlier. So I'm unsure why it isn't now working. Let's take a look. Oh, there's more of a spin for Bunnies. Not at all what he is going for. This is just going from bad to worse for Bunnies. Let's just, I will mute for just a second as I double check if the audio is working better. For Bunnies, let's just, I will mute for just a second as I double check if the audio is working better. Hold on, can I still be heard? Why can I still be heard? That's not good. Huh. Well, apparently I can still be heard, which is problematic because that means my mute button isn't working. I am back, and I have reason to believe my mute button isn't working, so that's concerning. But, some technical difficulties. This is our first time doing this sort of special, this sort of different way of streaming. We'll get those sorted out for next time, fear not. In the meantime, I apologize for just that whole distraction there. I am not at all sure why this isn't working the way we want it to, but nothing I can do, unfortunately, from the looks of things. So, yeah, genuinely, deepest apologies for that. But, yeah, the stream seems to only be picking up one of the two audio inputs, so that is very frustrating. Nonetheless, it is Gasman into the pit lane on 2% fuel. Speckmere looks like he's pretty low as well, but he's going to go one lap further. A 141.7 is his most recent lap time. That is very solid for the Benetton driver, but it is Matt Psycho with the fastest lap of the race about 4 laps ago. with that 141.4, and I apologize deeply for the lack of engine sounds. I have been notified that that's not going on, and I am very, very sorry for that, but I cannot seem to fix it. I genuinely have been trying, but it's not working. I apologize. Nonetheless, some great racing to be watching here, so hopefully you can get by that fact. So it is Bunnies in 8th still. However, are any of the people behind him recently pitted? No, so he is genuinely in 8th position. But is that going to be enough with Cthulhu in 3rd? It's hard to say. We'll wait until pit stops are over because there are some people who have just pitted and some people who will be pitting soon. There are about 10 laps left of this race come the end of this lap. 10 laps left to find out who will win this race. And I genuinely cannot tell you how this is going to go. Strategy, will it go in Tulu's way? Will it go Matt's way? The only thing I can confidently say is that it will almost certainly go to a Brabham today, the race win. Let's just see how this all goes. As Matt into the pit lane. Let's see, what does Speckmere do? Will Speckmere be into the pits? I'm sure he will, but he's got some front end damage. Not sure what's happened to him there. I wonder, can we just go back and see if he's perhaps made a mistake at the chicane? No, he's already got that damage, so I'm not sure what's happened to Speckmere. But Cthulhu in 3rd. We'll see where he is in comparison to these two. Well, he's going into the pits as well, of course. But let's go back and take a look at Cthulhu. Let's see where he will be in comparison to Matt Psycho when Matt Psycho comes out of the pit lane. Matt Psycho, of course, refueling as it stands. Let's take a look. As soon as I see Matt's fuel stopping going up, I will go over to him. Let's see. It is Cthulhu coming down the long straight now towards the chicane. It's a kink to the right and then the left-right chicane at the end of this track. Matt Psycho on 88% fuel. He's no longer fueling up. He's out of the pit lane. He is onto another set of softs. No, I believe he's still on the same set of softs. So Matt Psycho comes out in the lead, and it is looking very, very nice for him. Let's see where Speckmere comes out in comparison to Cthulhu then. Cthulhu, as it stands, well, Gasman's staying out, so Gasman is into 2nd. Cthulhu in 3rd. Where's Speckmere going to come out in comparison? Speckmere is going to come out actually behind Cthulhu and behind Bailey, who is of course a lap down, but it is Cthulhu in 3rd, Cthulhu 4th, Speckmere 5th, Slenderfella 6th, Alexis and Bunnies here as well. Let's see how it is between them. Alexis refueling already. Bunny's just getting in there, so he's going to refuel now as well. And he's not replacing his tires, so he'll be taking that set of mediums the entire race. Jan is looking good to the end of the race. Let's just quickly go up to Matt in 1st position as going down the end of the hill. Down the mountain. This is a racetrack that quite literally goes up and back down a mountain. These drivers scale a mountain 32 times in this race. We'll see them at the end of this race. We will see who comes out on top. Gasman in 2nd, a solid distance back from Matt Psycho. It's hard to say the exact gap, but it is a significant one nonetheless. It is Cthulhu in 3rd, followed by Cthulhu. Cthulhu will be pushing to take 3rd on the road, with Bunnies in 8th. I'm not sure if that'll quite be enough, but it will certainly be very close to enough, even if it isn't quite enough. Well, I'm genuinely uncertain on that front. Alexis in 7th, Bunnies in 8th. Let's see, Speckmere up in 5th. He's not far off of that duo ahead, the Brabham and the Renault, followed by a Benetton. Of course, that is also the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th places in the Constructors' Championship are Benetton, Renault, and Brabham. So we'll see how it goes between those three. Brabham certainly doing well for themselves with Matt Psycho in 1st position, but it's Gasman in 2nd for Ferrari, followed by 3rd place Cthulhu. And Cthulhu is on the most worn tires of the soft runners here. Matt Psycho actually similarly worn, but of course Cthulhu on those hards probably hasn't replaced them all race on slightly more worn tires. And on top of that, being the hards, they will be just simply providing the Renault driver with less grip. As an excellent view of his helmet here, actually. I quite like that Renault helmet. And it is really great to see, not every driver drives with gear that is necessarily their team's gear, for example. So an excellent example of somebody, as punishers, just letting some people through. So good sportsmanship from the Williams driver, trying to stay out of the way. A little bit sketchy there, but seems like Speckmere makes it through all right. A good example of somebody who races with gear for for their quote-unquote team, but not for their SNL team, is Bunnies. He has all that Nexus branding on his helmet and race suit, which you might occasionally see, but not a Red Bull one. Nonetheless, very nice helmets across the grid. And, of course, certain drivers going even for a replica route with Bailey, for example, using a Jensen Button helmet, Cthulhu using just a general Renault helmet, and then, for example, Slenderfella using that IT-based helmet. And I'll go through just a little detail I actually hadn't mentioned yet, which I probably should have. You may see the lights above the drivers' heads. That is significant, as it shows how much overtake the driver has left. Gasman, for example, here with that green light over his head, that means he has more than 25% of his overtake still left in the tank. However, on the contrary, someone like Matt Psycho, who has a red light, has less than 25% of his overtake left in the tank, and I am uncertain if there's anybody without any overtake left. It seems like everybody has still got a bit. Actually, Jim Joker has none left. So you'll see that there's no light above his head. That means that there's no overtake left in the tank for him. So, of course, that means he doesn't have that extra boost of speed whenever he needs it. But, admittedly, not exceptionally close to anybody for him, so it might not be the most detrimental thing ever. He may have already used it up in very good circumstances as well. You really can't say. Now let's run through the grid order one more time as we enter the final stages of this race. It is Matt Psycho who is leading the way, followed by Gasman. Then it is Cthulhu, followed by Speckmere. It is Ntulu in fifth. He's dropped behind the two of them. It's Slenderfella, Alexis, Bunnies, Jam, Rob on Drum, rounds out the top 10. Then it is Aloe, Punisher, Bailey, and Jim Joker. Although if we look quickly at Rob on Drums, we have Matt Psycho right on the back of them. Matt yelling, "Get out of the way, get out of the way." But of course, going up the hill here, it is incredibly difficult to do that. Not what Matt will be wanting in that Brabham. He's got a good gap to Gasman though, so it's not the end of the world, but that will not be what the Brabham driver wanted on this occasion, going up the hill. He manages nicely though. Rob on Drums finally getting out of the way, and it must be said that is a very, very difficult place to get out of the way of cars coming up behind you during. It is a very, very complex section of the track. Bunnies in 8th, Cthulhu in 3rd. Cthulhu on track for, I would like to say, 21 points compared to Bunnies' 8th place would give him, if I had to guess, about 10 points. So 21 versus 10, I believe as it stands, Cthulhu would be 1 point behind Bunnies in the championship. So Bunnies holding on to the championship as it stands, but only just barely. Where is Jam in comparison? Jam is not far behind. Bunnies could be at risk of losing the championship here. Bunnies, with only just a few laps to go, the Canadian is not in a good position, but I tell you what, Cthulhu's under pressure as well. There are two drivers here fighting for the championship, both under pressure from Benetton's, and it's Cthulhu who's more directly under pressure, but Bunnies, he's got those incredibly worn mediums compared to Jam's relatively new softs. I could suspect Jam will be absolutely flying in comparison to the Canadian driver. Let's see, Matt here is in first. He's got a very good gap. I'd say Matt is safe safe to just sort of sail home comfortably. Doesn't need to push too hard. Gasman in second is looking quite nice as well, but it's Spekmir right on the back of Cthulhu, but he hits the wall. Cthulhu will love it every single time he sees Spekmir touching the wall, because Cthulhu knows that every time that happens, his chance of the championship gets that little bit larger, as the chance of him being overtaken gets that little bit lower, but he still needs Jam to catch and pass Bunnies. Where is Bunnies in comparison to Jam? He is round about, let's take a look as Jam crosses the line. He is about 8 seconds out in front, so Bunny's looking good at the moment, but with the amount of time left, I would not be overly surprised to see him overtaken. It's Spekmir on the overtake now, in the slipstream, in the tow, in the rear view mirrors of the Renault. And will it be in the front view of the Renault soon? Not quite yet. Taking it easy into the chicane. Spekmir doesn't want to make any mistakes here. Spekmir is going for that podium. It's been very elusive this season. Spekmir, a very clear best of the rest last season, as Bunnies and Cool Dude Boy threw everything at each other last season, and Spekmir was dominating the rest of the field, taking third in many races, doing very well for himself in the championship. It's been a rough season this season, but Spekmir is throwing everything at Cthulhu right now to put himself back on the podium once again. And let's just go back to Bunnies and Jam. Jam is catching Bunnies rapidly. I know he is not that close yet, but with the rate he is catching at, I would not be surprised to see him nearby soon. And Bunnies similarly, actually Bunnies is catching Alexis, so that's interesting as well, but he's not gaining on him quite as rapidly. So the Red Bulls might be under pressure from Jam pretty soon. Let's go back up to the front, because Cthulhu is very much under pressure from Spekmir. Let's see the Renault under pressure from the Benetton, and the Benetton is on the better tires. What can he do? Going down the hill, he clips the wall. So what can he do? He can hit the wall, apparently. Let's see if he can make an overtake down the straight, though. Bunnies will be hoping so much that, apologies, I've lost my words there. I have really lost my train of thought. He does not make an overtake down the straight, clearly. Spekmir actually falling a little bit further back there, so not what he will have wanted. And Tulu might be looking to see if he can catch this group, this duo, but he is going a little bit slower than them, so that might not be easy. Slender Fella gaining on Intulu a little bit, so the Ferrari driver will be looking for the position. It is Jam behind Bunnies. What is the gap on this occasion? Jam was nearly 3 seconds faster on the last lap. Can the Benetton driver see the Red Bull yet? I think I might have just caught a glimpse of him there. There again. So we can just barely see the Canadian, who's fighting for the championship, trying to defend heavily, or not defend really yet, but just trying to push on so that he can keep that position. We are on lap 29 of 32. Spekmir looks down the inside of Cthulhu. There are 2 battles. Both of them have an effect on the championship. Whichever one happens could decide the championship. It's really hard to say. If Bunnies falls down to 9th, he only gets 8 points. At the moment, Cthulhu's on track for 21. Cthulhu would take the championship if that happened, getting at 22 points. Would he get the championship? I don't think he would. It might be countback. I'm not sure. It would be insanely close, actually. But either way, this stuff could be championship deciding. It is Spekmir on the back of Cthulhu, though. It's Spekmir. He's going to get into the slipstream. He's going past Cthulhu. Spekmir, he's going to see what he can do with the Benetton driver. It's Cthulhu on the overtake, trying to maintain the position. He's got barely any left. Is it going to be an overtake for Spekmir? Down the inside of the chicane, he makes the move. He's into 3rd. He's onto the podium. The Benetton driver will be thrilled. The Renault driver will be destroyed. He is going for the championship. He's down to 4th. Bunnies, he doesn't have to worry about Jam as much now, but he's still going to want to keep that position just as security. Cthulhu is going to sit in the slipstream of Speckmere. We've got just over 3 laps to go, I should say. Lap 30, lap 31, and lap 32. It is Matt comfortably out in the lead, although Gasman gaining on him on the last lap. Speckmere is in third. Fourth, Cthulhu. Cthulhu is in the slipstream. Can he make a move back up into the podium positions? He's falling away from the Benetton. He just doesn't have as much grip on those tires. If he just had better tires, he might be able to do this, but not on this occasion. Alexis pulling away now from Bunnies. Bunnies' pace is really suffering, and now it's going to be the other Benetton pressuring the other championship contender. These are the main 2 championship contenders, with Alexis all the way down in 7th, and Matt Psycho not realistically in the championship fight going into this round. It is Jam in the slipstream of Bunnies. Where is he going to make his move? He's going to pounce somewhere, surely. We're on to lap 30 for these drivers as well. Let's go back to Matt, see how close he is to the next lap. He's about to start lap 31, so these two also need to be sure that they don't get lapped. Although, at the end of the day, it wouldn't be the end of the world. But Bunnies will be pressured so hard. It looks like he clipped the grass. Maybe Jam struggling with the dirty air there a little bit. What can he do going up the hill? He's behind the Canadian. Up the left-hander. It's steep acceleration here. Just clipping the wall from the looks of things. It's so easy to get wheel spin coming out of that acceleration zone. But now it's up and down and up and down. And now they're just coming up to the last left-hander before the crest of the hill. Get ready to go down. Down we go. As the Benetton follows the Red Bull making a mistake. Bunnies will not be liking this. Let's go back up to Cthulhu. Make sure he's not too close to the back of Speckmere. He's not. He's actually got a solid gap, does Speckmere. Back to these two, though. It's the championship leader, followed by the Benetton of Jam. What can Jam do? Number 7 versus number 99. What can Jam do? He goes to the outside. It's going to be the outside of the kink, but it's going to be the inside of the chicane. Can he make the move? Can he make the move on the inside? Is he going to go through? Bunnies tries to outbreak him, but can't do it. Bunnies is down to 9th, but he should be safe because 8 points compared to 18. He should have the championship by 2 points as it stands. Bunnies is safe for the moment, but he cannot afford to be overtaken by Rob. Rob is a good distance back. Bunnies looks safe, but that means that Bunnies now has to hope that Speckmere doesn't make any mistakes, because if Speckmere spins and Cthulhu takes third, Cthulhu might just take the championship. 21 compared to 8, that's 13 more points, isn't it? He would take the championship if Cthulhu took third. So Speckmere, for the sake of Bunnies, cannot afford to spin. For the sake of a podium, cannot afford to spin, but Cthulhu will be desperately hoping that he does. Cthulhu will be looking at that Benetton saying, spin, please, spin. He needs him to spin if he wants to take the championship. But it's the final lap for the Brabham driver. It is Matt, and I tell you what, if we look at Matt, and then we look at Rob is lapped by Matt. Bunnies isn't. Matt is that car on the mini-map between those two red arrows that I've just been switching through, and Rob, he goes round. Rob's made a mistake. So Rob, it looks like it's going to be Bunnies unless Cthulhu can make an overtake. There was side-by-side action there, actually. Slenderfella next to a lapped car. Let's go up to Matt Psycho, though. He's going to go down the long straight here, and let's take a look. If Bunnies doesn't get lapped, he's got an excellent chance at the championship because he can no longer lose any positions. Speckmere is the other person to watch. Let's watch this now. Matt Psycho going down the long straight for the last time this season. Matt Psycho has gone up and back down the mountain. Matt Psycho has been so fast this season. He's won the first round. He's coming up to the last corner. He's going to be coming up to the line. It's going to be Matt Psycho who takes the win at Mount Panorama. He wins the first round. He wins the last round. It's Matt Psycho, your race winner today. Matt Psycho at Mount Panorama takes the race win. I'll keep that graphic up for just a moment as we watch Gasman come across the line in second. It's going to be Speckmere. If he can come across the line in third now, Bunnies is champion. Will it be Speckmere? Will it be Cthulhu? Cthulhu is too far back to dive. One corner left. It's Speckmere who's gonna cross the line. I'll take the graphic away now. It's Speckmere on the podium in third. Cthulhu comes fourth. And as long as Bunnies doesn't have anything exceptional happen to him involving, say, an internet issue, for example, Bunnies should be your champion of Season 6. It's Intulu across the line in 5th. Slenderfella takes 6th. 7th is going to be Alexis. 8th will be Jam. 9th, Bunnies. 10th is Rob. 11th, Aloe. 12th, Bailey. 13th, Punisher. Punisher's going to be next across the line. Jim Joker's already crossed in 14th. The Punisher takes 13th. The Canadian should be decently happy with that result, but the Spaniard in Red Bull, he'll come home 7th. It is going to be Matt Psycho also getting ahead of Alexis in the championship. Alexis should end this on 99 points with Matt Psycho taking 102. But now, if we look, it's going to be Jam across the line next. And what now? I tell you what's now. It's going to be the championship for Bunnies. Bunnies is your Season 6 champion of Formula X. He comes across the line, and he is your champion. As I have hit the wrong button. Apologies for that. I can't actually see what I'm doing with this graphic. There we go. Apologies for that. I'll skip ahead another lap. There we go. Back up to the graphic. Bunnies is your champion of Season 6 of Formula X in the Red Bull. He takes the championship, and the Canadian is now a champion in SNL. He adds his list to the name, his list to the names. Nice. He adds his name to the list of champions. I am blanking on all of the Formula X champions. I don't remember the first champion. I believe Cthulhu was the second champion. Third was Matt Psycho. Then it was Wolfbane. Then it was Cool Dude Boy. And now it is Bunnies who takes the championship. And I will just very quickly verify who the first champion was. As if you give me 2 seconds, please bear with me. That is the race videos. I'm hoping for the results. There we go. Standings. That is Season 2. Well, I tell you what, I was correct. Cthulhu was the Season 2 champion. Then it was Matt. Then it was Wolfbane. Then it was Cool Dude Boy. And now it is Bunnies, your Season 6 champion. I'll take this graphic off the screen for you. I wanted to keep it up for a while because I'm kind of proud of the graphic that I made. It's nothing exceptional, but I still made it, and I'm proud of that. But it is Matt Psycho, your race winner for today. He takes the win. He puts himself into third in the championship on 102 points. I admittedly only know the standings of the top 5 for sure, although the Stewards report has not been released yet. But as far as I'm aware, nothing looks like it'll change the top 5 results. So Matt on 100 points, apologies, at the end of the season. In P3, Gasman in 5th on 82 points. Second this race, Speckmere gets himself on the podium again. Cthulhu takes second in the championship, 104 points. Intulu takes 5th on the road, Slenderfella 6th, 7th is Alexis, or 4th in the championship with 99 points. Then it's Jam in 8th. Bunnies is your new champion. He gets 106 points. Rob on drums, 10th in the race. Aloe 11th, Bailey 12th, Punisher 13th, and Jim Joker 14th. But that is your race winner. That is your champion. And that is your season finale. Served to you. Not sure how I'm supposed to word anything, but what a race nonetheless. I think reason to be very, very happy for many drivers, although of course commiserations, I suppose, I think that's the right term, to Cthulhu, Alexis, and Matt, who couldn't quite take the championship today, but they all tried so hard, and good on them for doing so. As let's just yeah, I don't have the standings to show you, but yeah, just thank you to everybody who watched. Really, it's been a lot of fun. I apologize for the technical difficulties that occurred during this video. Excuse me. That occurred during this video. Obviously, the sound wasn't perfect. We had some issues in multiple ways, but tell you what, we got through it. I appreciate everyone who watched. We will be back next season, I believe in the New Year's, for GTE. So get excited for that. Seeing, presumably, I can't guarantee this, but as they often do, presumably legends such as Speed Hunter and Victory Rain returning. I can't guarantee that, but here's to hoping they do. And yeah, a big thanks, and I will see you all next time. Thank you again. I don't need to open up that menu. Thank you to everybody who watched, and as you can see my menu pop up there, apologies for that. And yeah, as I said, thank you for watching, everybody. Thank you for watching not just today, but the season as a whole, and goodbye.